Cauldron of Carnage is a giant monster brawl in which your team has to take on a mechanical T-Rex and a lightning-infused gorilla. You'll be splitting your group up evenly between these two targets and dealing each with their unique mechanics. There'll be an intermission phase, and then both teams will swap sides. The bosses do not share a health pool and have to die near the same time, so you're going to need a perfect split of your DPS and your healing to be able to handle all the mechanics and be able to take down the bosses in time. If the bosses are ever within 40 yards of each other, not during the intermission, they're going to gain 99% reduced damage taken, so they have to be significantly split up throughout the fight. When one of them dies, the other gains 50% increased damage every 5 seconds until your squad dies, so timing is crucial. Both these bosses have a stacking debuff that goes on to all players within 60 yards of them. If you try and be between the two bosses to do split damage, you're going to receive both debuffs and eventually just be unhealable. First up, let's talk about Flarenado the Furious. This mechanized T-Rex has some fiery effects and bomb-based mechanics. The main mechanic dealt with on this side is the scrap bombs. He's going to put out a large soak mechanic bomb that the entire group on this side is going to need to stand in. After a delay, the bomb is going to explode, splitting many millions of damage and knocking you off to the side. At the same time as the bomb mechanic, he's going to fire off his roar cannon. He'll pick one player in the group and mark them with a red beam. After a delay, the beam will lock in and stop moving, then unleash a fiery attack down its path. The player that gets targeted with this needs to turn it away from the bomb as well as not point it towards the gorilla side. Wait for it to lock in and then quickly sidestep out of the way. Everyone else in the squad is stacking in the bomb, waiting for the explosion to split up the damage. On heroic or higher difficulties, the explosion of this bomb is going to leave behind a magma pool that stays for the rest of the fight. This means that we need to bait these over to the corners, holding the boss near an edge and constantly rotating around the outside of the room, leaving these down in a clockwise pattern. This will also unleash some fiery waves that you just need to dodge away from. For the tank, Eruption Stomp is going to be a delayed attack that then slams the tank, sending them up into the air and sending out lava waves around them. Immediately after dealing with the bomb, the tank needs to rotate away from the group, making sure that they're the only one in the area to receive the Eruption Stomp. This does more than your health pool worth of damage, and you're going to need a defensive for every one. On heroic and higher difficulties, Molten Phlegm is a new mechanic that will happen after some of the bombs. This puts red circles on multiple people on the side, erupting for damage for everybody within your circle. Immediately after these bombs, everybody's going to want to spread out and use defensive cooldowns if the Molten Phlegm goes out. If at any point a bomb comes down when everybody on this side is dealing with the red circles, you should try and have one player with an immunity on your side go and be the bomb soaker. If there is not a player within the bomb's effects when it goes off, it hits everyone for a massive chunk of damage that should end up being a raid wipe. Upon reaching 100 energy, the two creatures slam into each other in the center of the arena and will create a short duration intermission. During this time, players are going to be dodging blue circles and lava waves while trying to get as much damage onto the two creatures as they can. After the clash, the monsters will leap back to their sides and the players should swap to the opposite side than they're on. Now over to Torque the Tempest. On the gorilla side, the main mechanic to be able to deal with is static charge. Every player is going to have a special resource bar. Anytime you move, this resource bar is going to gain energy. At about 2/3 charge, you're going to animate a circle around you, damaging any allies within its range. And if your charge ever reaches 100, you're going to get stunned. On heroic and higher difficulties, if you get stunned, you also stun everybody around you, which can be devastating to this side. Periodically, he'll mark everyone on the side with a blue arrow. You're now going to be chased by lightning effects that will deal damage after a delay. Stutter step along, leaving circles behind you, making sure to not take any of the damage, but moving as little as possible, and taking up as little space as you can to make sure you're not running into other players' paths. The tank mechanic on this side is a two-part hit. The first, a big hit of physical damage, and then a follow-up of the unmitigated damage as nature damage. Make sure to have a defensive for each of these initial hits because the follow-up is going to be significant. On heroic and higher, he's going to mark people with voltaic images. This creates a fixate point creature that will slowly move towards you. These can be CC'd but not killed, and if they ever reach you, they'll deal damage to you and drop a silence field below you. The best strategy on heroic is to CC these things and let them wear out their time, which will make them despawn. But you should have a coordinated point to move towards, so if it does reach you, it'll drop the silence pool along the edge of the arena so you don't run out of space. These pools will last for the rest of the encounter. You're just going to be swapping back and forth until you manage to take these bosses down, constantly losing space on heroic or higher difficulties until eventually you can't keep the monsters apart. There's also a 12-minute enrage on this boss that will cause them to deal way too much damage for you to be able to handle. From testing on normal and heroic, you're likely to get 2 lusts off on this boss. If you lust at the start, the bosses have enough HP and the fight takes long enough, you're going to get a secondary lust in the 10-minute mark. It's a long slog of a boss, and it's going to take quite a bit of patience and determination to take this boss down. If you want to know about the mythic differences, you're going to have to check out our guide right here. I hope this guide helps you take down the Cauldron of Carnage. I'm Zeti Fresh with Zaza Games, and we'll catch you guys next time.